So let me just write a couple of sets of numbers up here on the board, and let's look at them. All right, first of all, if I said to you, can you find the next number in this list, what would you say? You can find it, right? Because you see the pattern. What pattern is happening? We're adding 3. When a sequence is generated by adding the same number, it is called arithmetic. When a sequence is generated by adding the same number, it is called arithmetic. Now, it doesn't have to be 3, it could be a different number, but it's always the same number in that particular list. The number that you add is called the common difference. So in this problem, the common difference is 3. That is the number that we add to get from term to term. Okay? You get it done?
Yeah.
Now, what about this one? Is this one arithmetic?
No.
No, it is not. What's happening here? We're dividing by 2, or we would normally think about this as multiplying by 1/2, 0.5, or 1/2. This kind of a sequence is called geometric. A geometric sequence is one in which you get from term to term by multiplying by the same number. So in an arithmetic, we get from term to term by adding something, the same number. In geometric, we get from term to term by multiplying by the same number. That same number is called the common ratio, and in this problem, it is 1/2 or 0.5. That is what we are multiplying by. Okay, so let's see if you can identify the sequence as arithmetic, geometric, or neither. All right, let's look at letter A. What do you think is happening there? Geometric, because we're timesing by what? 1/2, 0.5. So geometric, and R, just call it R, the ratio is 0.5. All right, what about B? What? What's happening in B? We're adding 10, aren't we? So what does that make this kind of sequence? If we're adding 10, it's arithmetic, and the difference, use a D. The difference for arithmetic, we'll use a D. The difference is 10. All right, how about C?
Adding by 8.
Adding 8. So that means it is what kind? Arithmetic. And D, the common difference, is 8. What about D? Neither. It's neither. It's neither. Now I want you to look at it. Is there a pattern?
No.
Oh, actually there is. Look at what do we add? To get from 3 to 5, we add 2, and then we add 4, and then we add 6, and then we probably would add 8. So there's definitely a pattern, but am I adding the same number each time? No, so therefore it is not arithmetic. Okay, there you can usually find a pattern in a set of numbers, but it's only arithmetic if you're adding the same thing, and it's only geometric if you are multiplying by the same thing. Okay, guys?
So what do we play?
Neither.
Okay.
All right, what about E?
So geometry are equals to?
Geometric, and the ratio is 2. Because to get from term to term, what are we doing? Multiplying by 2. F? Arithmetic. It's arithmetic when it's a noun. It's arithmetic when it's an adjective. Arithmetic, and the common difference is 2. And how about the last one? It's neither. Now, do you see what's happening in that one? What's special about the numbers 1 and 4 and 9? They're perfect squares. So there's definitely predictability. The next one would be 36, and then 49, and so on. You could definitely continue the sequence, but it's not arithmetic or geometric. Okay, now we have to get comfortable with some basic, notation. So, b sub n equals 6 over n. So the way we would read this literally is b sub n. Sub n. So the problem says find b sub 1. Don't you even make this hard. This is the easiest thing in the whole wide world. Look, if this is the formula and I want b sub 1, aren't I just going to put a 1 in there? So b sub 1 is going to be 6 over 1, which is 6. And b sub 2 is going to be 6 over 2, which is 3. And b sub 3, 6 over 3. How far do I have to go? B sub 4. Reduce, just like everything you've ever done. If you can reduce it, reduce it. And then it skips to b sub 70, but we don't care. B sub 70 is going to be 6 over 70, right? Easy, easy, easy. Again, don't be scared by the notation. The next problem looks so scary, but it is so easy. If we want C sub 1, we're just going to put 1 in here, right? N is 1 now. So what's C sub 1? 3. What's C sub 2?
5.
Yep. C sub 3? 7. And C sub 70? 141. Easy. All right, now we're going to analyze, look at some arithmetic sequences a little bit more closely. So first of all, would you agree that that is an arithmetic sequence? What's happening? -4. So we are adding -4. So your common difference, one of the things you have to find is D. The common difference is -4. All right? Now, A sub 8 means the 8th term. So C sub 1 was the first term. C sub 2 is the second term. C sub 70 is the 70th term. So we are looking for the 8th term. So what's one option you have? Just keep subtracting 4, right? Will that give it to you? Absolutely. What if that were the 800th term though? Could I still do that? Yes, but it would take forever. So luckily we have formulas, which you do not need to memorize. I will always give you these. We have formulas for an arithmetic sequence. Here it is. So you need to write it down. You need to know how to use it, but you don't need to memorize it. If you are dealing with an arithmetic sequence, then this is the formula you're going to use. So in the next couple days, we're going to get 5 formulas. I'm going to give you all 5. Always, no memorization. But you need to know which one's which. So this is your arithmetic sequence. This is an arithmetic sequence. Now, what does all this mean? What do you think A sub 1 means? We already talked about it. First term. So this is your first term. D, we already talked about it. D is your common difference, which is the number that you add in the sequence. every arithmetic sequence is gonna have a D, because that's the number that you add. And N is in the formula twice. N is the number of the term. So when it says find A sub 8, then N is 8. Okay? So A sub 8 is going to be our first term, which is 3, plus our common difference, which is -4, times N minus 1, but what's N? 8, so that's going to be 7. So 3 minus 28, it looks like -25 is my 8th term. Now, if this had been an 800, could I have done exactly the same thing? Yes, and it wouldn't have been any harder, the number would have been bigger, but it wouldn't have been any harder. And finally, we have to find an explicit rule. Don't let the vocabulary bother you. It's simply, what is the formula for this particular sequence? This is the rule for anything arithmetic. What is it for this particular one? Well, what is your first term? 3. Your common difference is -4. So when you're doing the explicit rule, you don't know what N is. You're finding a formula. So all you do is plug in your first term and your common difference. And then do the distributive property. So this is going to be 3 minus 4n plus 4, -4n, +4. And then see these two, they can be added together. So 7 minus 4n. And there is your explicit rule. So how did we do that? How did we find an explicit rule? We took our formula and we plugged in the first term and the common difference. And then we just did stuff. All right, let's try the next one. All right, my formula up here. All right, so the next B, would you agree that B is arithmetic? Yep. What's the common difference? -0.5. So I want to know the 8th term. All right, so use your formula. You're going to find the 8th term. So what do we need? The first term, which is 10, plus -0.5 times what? 8 minus 1, or 7. That n and that n are the same number. So if you're doing A sub 8, then n is 8. So what is 10 minus, is that 6.5? You're going to need a calculator for all these problems too, just like you did in the first part of the chapter. All right, now what is my explicit formula? So all we need to do, make a note of this, when you write your explicit formula, what do you need to plug in? 2 things. First term, common difference. So what's my first term? 10. My common difference is -0.5. So I put 10 in here, -0.5 here. Then I'll do my distributive. And simplify. So it looks like A sub n is going to equal 10.5 minus 0.5n. Does that look okay to everybody? Okay. All right, there's one more squeezed onto this page. Go ahead and try that one on your own. And so first of all, you gotta figure out the common difference in A sub 8. Right, so, and then write your explicit rule if you can. And I gotta fix Tilly's attendance. All right, what'd you say your difference was this time? I hope you said 6. And your 8th term was 10 plus 6 times 7. Did you get 52? And then your explicit rule was 10 plus 6 times n minus 1. And you distributed. Did you end up with 4 plus 6n? Which could also be 6n plus 4. It doesn't matter which order you write that in, either one's fine. All good? All right, one more thing to do with arithmetic. Given the following terms of an arithmetic sequence, find the first term and the 100th term. All right, so here's what's happening in 4a. I have an arithmetic sequence, and the 4th term, right here, is 13. So there's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Here's the 4th term, is 13. 5th, 6th, and the 7th term is 22. Alright, so I know the TV's in noise already. So there's my 4th term, 5th, 6th, 7th term. Okay, now I want you to think about this for a second. There's lots of different ways you can approach this problem, but what does it mean to be arithmetic? We're adding the same number. So I don't know what it is, but I'm going to add something here to get this number, and then add it again to get this number, and then add it again to get that number. So basically, I start with 13, add 3 of that same number, 1, 2, 3, and that's supposed to end up with 22. Does that make sense to you? Now, even if I didn't have my picture up here counting, remember, this was the 4th term and this was the 7th term. Aren't there 3 in between there? So that's where that 3 came from. All right, so let's solve it. So 3D equals 9. It looks like D is actually 3. Now, this is the 1st term. How could I find the 1st term? Go back 3. Jack says if I'm going this way, I won't add 3, I will subtract it. So this is 10, this is 7, and this is 4. So the 1st term is 4. Does that make sense to everybody? Then I want the 100th term. Well, I do not want to do that. I'm going to use my formula. Whoop, I erased it. Every time I'm dealing arithmetic, I'm thinking about that formula. So if I want a sub 100, n is going to be 100. Do I know a sub 1? I do. I figured it out. It's 4. Do I know D? Yep, I figured it out. It's 3. What will n minus 1 be?
100
100 minus 1, or 99? So, I don't know, what is that? 301, I don't know, is that right? 3 times 99 and
Yeah.
4.
You know it. Don't say I don't know. You knew what it was.
All right, are we good on that? All right, let's try another one. All right, so this time we know the third term is 8 and the seventh term is 36. Now you can always draw a picture of the situation. So here's the first term, second term, here's the third term, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh is 36. So if it helps you to visualize that, it's okay. You certainly don't have to, but you can. Now, this is arithmetic. They tell me that, which means I am adding something once, twice, 3, 4 times. So if I start with 8 and add that number 4 times, I end up with 36. There's 1 D, another D, another D, and another D. 4 Ds give me 36. So what does that make D? 4D equals 28 is D7.
Yes.
Now, I really need my first term. So remember, that means I'm adding 7, right? I want to go the other way, so I'm going to subtract 7. So isn't my first term -6? So now I want the 100th term again. So using my arithmetic formula, you don't have to memorize it, you have to know how to use it. The 100th term will be my first term plus my common difference times 99. I don't know that one, help me out, guys.
687.
687. All right, try the last one, see how far you can get with the last one. Do exactly the same thing. Remember that you're starting with -1 and you're adding something 3 times to get from the 6th to the 9th. We're going to add it 3 times and end up at -10. So if I start with -1, add 3 D's, I get -10. I got -3 for my D. Anyone else get that?
Yes.
You got that too? Good. Now, I need the first term, so I need to work my way all the way back to here. All right? So one surefire way of doing it, you don't have to be tricky. If that way I'm subtracting 3, -3 that way, then this way is going to be +3. So 2, 5, 8, 11, 14. Now there are other ways you can figure that out, but that will never fail you. You can always just work your way back. And then what's the 100th term? No, the hundredth term is gonna be 14 plus -3 times 99. In your formula, what's this, guys? First term. Yeah, that's a sub 1. That's 14. So Jared, you got that one typed in?
Yeah, -283.
-283. Does that sound about right for someone else?
Yeah.
Alright, now, the next page, we're not gonna get very far on here, but let's go ahead and get started. The next ones are geometric. Okay, so I need to give you a new formula. Please, in your notes, mark this arithmetic, so you know that's the one you're gonna use when you have an arithmetic problem. This is the one you're gonna use when you have a geometric problem. Now, the a sub 1 and the n, same thing as before. But notice this formula has an r in it. This one had a d. What is the d? The d is the number that we add to get from term to term.
Alright,
What is the r?
ratio.
The number we multiply by. That's our ratio. So look at your sequence. What is your ratio? What are you multiplying by? 2, so R is 2. What is your first term? 3. What is the 10th term going to be? Well, use your formula. The 10th term will be the first term times the common ratio to the what power, if I'm finding the 10th term? Nope, won't be to the 10th, it'll be to the 9th. So type it in on your calculator, these get really, really big. 42.
We're already on the first number, so we'll
4,536.
4,000,
1,536.
1,536, she says. Everybody else get that? 3 times 2 raised to the 9th power. She is right on.
Is it 9 to the 9 because you're already on the first?
No, formula. I'm using my formula. That's 10 minus 1. Use my formula. All right, come on, you gotta get this next one done. 8, 1, 1, 8, 164. What is the ratio? What is happening here? Multiplying by 1/8. Now, multiplying by 1/8 is the same as dividing by 8. But when we're doing sequences, we gotta be multiplying, not dividing. So we're gonna think of it as timesing by 1/8. And your first term is 8. And we again want the 10th term. So what does our formula say? 8, not divided by, 8 times 1/8 to the 9th. This is n. That is n minus 1. These sometimes go to scientific notation. Let's make sure everybody can type it in. Yep, this one did. Make sure you get that, because you gotta be able to type it in. Perfect. All right, ready, the last one on this page, and then we'll be done. Here we go. -6, 18, -54. What are we multiplying by? What's our ratio?
3.
-3.
-3.
First term is -6. What's the 100th, or not the 100th, the 10th term gonna be? -6, -3 to the 9th power, all right? Let's see if we can get this one. -6, times -3 raised to the 9th power. 118,098. If you didn't get that, make sure you're typing it in exactly the way I wrote it. Yeah. Okay?
Are we gonna have a quiz over there?
We are gonna have a quiz over this. No. You want a quiz tomorrow? I can do a quiz tomorrow.
Just this one.
All right, have a great day, folks. I'll see you tomorrow. Good luck with your presentations. I'm sure they're gonna be wonderful.